Oklahoma City's tied for the 11th best record in the NBA with a Hall of Famer, an All-Star, an MVP, and one of the few legit bigs in the league. But this is what's really interesting. Oklahoma City won as many games last year. Wait, what? What? They added 2 All-Stars from the East. One in his prime, Paul George. He was the best player on a playoff team. Melo was the best player on a bad team, and he'll be a Hall of Famer. And they didn't get even a game better? Here's also something that's not been discussed by the Westbrook sycophants, fanboys, and pom-pom wavers. Oklahoma City has been the healthiest team in the West. Their 4 best players all played 75 games or more. Houston's didn't, Golden State's didn't, San Antonio's didn't, Utah's didn't. It's interesting, isn't it? Only Toronto can make that claim in the entire league. But Toronto took advantage of all that health. They're the number 1 seed in the East. Oklahoma City added 2 All-Stars, one in their prime. The East was riddled with injuries. The West was riddled with injuries. And they're not a game better than last year. Think about Utah for a second. I'm glad Kristine brought that up. Mm-hmm. Utah plays in the West. The West is better. I can't wait to watch the Western playoffs. Eastern playoffs, not as much. Utah lost Gordon Hayward. He was their best player before the season. Their second best player is Rudy Gobert. He missed 30 games. They traded their second to third best player, Rodney Hood. They're led by a rookie. And they finished above Oklahoma City. And Oklahoma City is going to have 3 Hall of Famers. Westbrook's going to make the Hall. Melo drives me crazy, going to make the Hall. And Paul George has 6 years left in this NBA. 6 years. He's going to make the Hall of Fame.
You realize that seeds 4 through 8 are all within a game and a half of each other? So the difference between the 4th and 8th seed is a game and a half.
3 Hall of Famers. And it shouldn't be close. 3 Hall of Famers should not be clinching in any conference in Game 81. Go look at the Utah Jazz. Lost their best player. Their second one missed a third of the season. Their third was traded. And they're led by a 19-year-old in the unbelievable West. Oklahoma City added 2 All-Stars. And by the way, the one guy that left, Victor Oladipo, have you noticed, will win Most Improved Player of the Year. He was 14 a game next to Westbrook in the backcourt. He is now an all-star. Am I a Westbrook hater or a Westbrook realist? I'll go with the latter. Let me shift to this. Pat Riley's writing a new book. He's actually not writing it. A writer is, but the book's about him, and he talks, and they take notes, and it's Pat Riley's book. That's how it works. He now acknowledges LeBron, quote, did the right thing when he left Miami. Riley's quoted, this is a good one, says, my beautiful plan all came crashing down suddenly. The team in 10 years could have won 5-6 titles. But I get it. I get the whole chronicle of LeBron's life. While there may have been some carnage, he did the right thing. The book will be called The Soul of Basketball. Excited to read it. Every time LeBron leaves, anger, dismay, disloyal, guy's a bum. And every time he leaves, the team he leaves is inept an hour later. Of course he should have left Miami. They were old. Dwayne Wade was always hurt. So was Bosh. Think about this. In the last game LeBron played in Miami, think about this. Let this soak in. 4 players on the roster, 2 starters, never played in the league again. Battier, Birdman, Mike Miller, Ray Allen, Udonis Haslem, older, oldest, whatever word is older than oldest. I would argue the Miami Heat roster, when we look back 100 years from now, I won't be here, let's just say 20, at the weakest dynasties and mini dynasties ever, the Miami Heat will be the weakest roster to ever dominate the league for 4 to 5 years. It will be the weakest. Think about this. They had no center. There's never been a team that won titles with no center. It was 6'8" Joel Anthony, who didn't dominate college. They had no real size at all, to be honest. They were near the bottom of the NBA in rebounding. How about point guard? They had the goofy, completely limited Norris Cole or Mario Chalmers. Take your pick. They were atrocious at point guard. They had no center. They weren't particularly deep. They had a kid coach. And their two stars, Dwayne Wade and LeBron, were never a perfect fit. LeBron, to some degree, is just a bigger Dwayne Wade. And LeBron left, and Miami didn't even make the following year the playoffs in the East. LeBron carried this roster. If you compare this roster that LeBron was on in Miami to the Golden State dynasty, it's not even close. The Golden State dynasty is among the top 3 or 4 of all time. Magic Lakers, Jordan's Bulls, Durant and Steph and Clay and Kerr and Draymond and coaching and system and defense. The Miami Heat had no center. They had no size. They were weak at point. They were old. In the end, they couldn't play defense. The two stars never worked really perfectly. And they had a kid coach who I like, but he was a kid coach. We're always mad at LeBron for leaving. But if you're an actor and you leave a movie and it bombs, you were right. If you leave a marriage and he goes totally sideways, you were right. If you leave a company and it erodes significantly, you were right. LeBron's always been right leaving Miami. It was never even arguable. When he left Cleveland the first time, he was right. They were inept. He left Miami. And by the way, Miami's well run. Mickey Arison's a top 5 owner. Pat Riley's a top level GM, president. This is a well-run organization. And they couldn't make the playoffs. Why do we celebrate mobility in America for everybody except LeBron? It's okay for baseball players to go. You're okay with NFL free agency and Ndamukong Suh's in another team. Yeah. Marcus Peters, another team. Yeah. LeBron leaves an old, beaten-down mess. Boo! That guy's the worst. MLS celebrates stars coming over to Los Angeles from teams in Europe. We celebrate Silicon Valley youth, young, growing, evolving, ideas. We celebrate mobility everywhere in the world except LeBron. And now Pat Riley admitting, like Dan Gilbert, who got on his knees to get LeBron back, admitted, LeBron was right both times. In every other sport, the MVP race is all about totals. In baseball, your total home runs, your total RBIs. In hockey, your total goals, your total assists. In football, how many touchdowns does Brady have? How many receptions and yards does this receiver, Julio Jones, have? In the big sports in this country, MLS, hockey, baseball, football, it's all about totals. Season's over, how many did you have? But in the NBA, it's different for some reason, and I don't know why. It's about averages. How many points did you average? How many rebounds did you average? How many assists per game did you average? In the NBA, averages for some reason. It's the only sport in America. When it comes to the MVP race, we go to averages, not totals. In fact, if Carson Wentz of the Philadelphia Eagles was an NBA player, he would have still won the MVP. His touchdowns per game were higher than Brady. His winning percentage was higher than Brady. Wentz, as an NBA player, would have still won the MVP. By the way, Mike Trout, as a baseball player, he got hurt. It wouldn't have mattered if he was an NBA player because Mike Trout had a better slugging percentage, on-base percentage, at-bat per home run and RBI than Jose Altuve. But in basketball, for some reason, it's not about totals, it's about averages. But what if it was in the NBA like every other sport, and maybe it should be about totals? What have you done over the course of the year? When I suggest LeBron's the MVP over Harden, I get major pushback. Let's go to the board on totals, the way it works in every other sport. LeBron wins all of them. In most instances, easily. Season for season, side by side. Bro, it ain't close. Congrats to Harden, who has more wins because he has better teammates. Just saying.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.